Hello. Hi, it's Pete. We're now on week 10 of the course in Tamworth looking at using Google in all its various forms. And this week what I want to do is have a quick look at advancing our use of forms and of using sheets and pivot tables to be able to access that information and to do some analysis. Now, we've used forms before, but this time the scenario we're looking at is that we're planning a conference. So we're planning an all-day conference, so we can actually need to ask our delegates a few questions. And the questions I've got inside of here are sort of dietary requirements, which workshops or breakout sessions do they want to attend, and we also need to ask them about their accessibility needs. So that is the thing that we're going to do. Now what I've done over at this side of the screen here is I've already created a document, and the document actually identifies some of the basic information that we're going to be asking people to look at. So my conference is going to be an AGM and a community conference. I've got my location and I've got a brief description plus the layout of the day. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using that as my title and descriptions for my forms. So moving on, what I'm going to be doing is if I click back over here, I can click onto New inside of my Google Drive, down here onto More, and there is Google Forms. So here I've got Google Forms, and the first thing I'm going to do is to give my form a title. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight this piece at the top here, and I'm going to come across into my document. I'm going to pick up the title that I've already prepared, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste it in. And now I'm going to move down into the form description, and down here I've got my description here. And I'm going to copy all of this information here and Control C, move it back across and Control V, and I've now got my title and my description, and I'm ready to ask the first question. Now the first question I want to ask is not going to be a multiple choice question, because what I want to do is to find out people's names. So I'm going to highlight untitled question and ask for their name. And I'm also going to make this a required question. I need to know somebody's name if they're going to come to the event, because that will allow me to present name badges or anything else that I wanted to do, or also to have a checklist of who I'm expecting. What I've also got here is a duplicate button that would allow me to duplicate this question. Now the second question I want to ask people is the organisation. So it's the same style of question. So I'm just going to ask them for their organisation name. And then that's they're the two required questions that I want to ask. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add another question. Now there's my plus sign, which allows me to add a question. Now if you're working on a slightly larger screen, you may find that the plus signs will appear on the right hand side. Remember that I'm working with two screens side by side here, so that it looks a little bit smaller, and it's actually put it underneath. So I'm going to click there, and it's now going to ask me for the question. And the next question I want to ask is about the morning workshops. So I'm going to say morning workshop. Morning workshop. And then I've got some options for the morning workshops that they can attend. The first one is going to be social media. The next one is going to be marketing. And the third option is going to be volunteer impact measurement. And again, there I've now got my options. I'm going to add, I'm not going to add another in there because these are the only options that's available. And again, I'm not going to make this a required field because people may not want to attend any of the workshops. So here I'm going to click to duplicate that one, because all I need to do now is to change that one to say afternoon workshop. Okay. Once again, I now need to add a plus sign so that we can actually get people to fill in their dietary requirements. So if I type in dietary requirements, and again, I'm going to have this as checkboxes. So people may be vegetarian and require a gluten-free diet and be dairy-free. So my first option here is vegetarian. That's like hiatus as well. I checked how to spell vegetarian. Gluten-free. Dairy-free. And this time I will add an other in there so that people can actually specify if they have any other requirements. Here, and then I'm going to click onto the plus sign again to add a final question in there. And this one is going to be, do you have any accessibility needs? This is not going to be multiple choice. This is going to be a paragraph answer. So this is going to provide them with a small box so they can type in if they've got any particular requirements, such as visual impairment, hearing impairment, physical needs in terms of no stairs or whatever, so that we actually know who's coming on our event. Okay, so there I've now got my form all nicely created. And now what I want to do is I just want to enhance my form a little bit by putting a nice header at the top. Now I could just use a colour, but what I want to do is I want to use an image. So I'm going to click down here onto upload a photograph, select a photo from my computer, and I've got one called header somewhere. Headers for forms, there we go. And that form should be okay. There we go, loading my theme. And there I've got my form at the top of my document ready for me to use. Okay, so there I've now created my form and it's all ready for me to go away and share. Let me just click onto here where it says more, and let's go and have a quick look at the live form. So there's my form, all ready for me to use. So there we go, we're invited to the AGM and Community Conference at the community venue, street name, blah, 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 blah. And there's my forms. My name, organisation, the morning workshop, the afternoon workshop, dietary requirements and accessibility needs, and the submit button. So there it is, that's all ready for me to distribute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video while I fill in about 10 of these forms so that we've actually got some information that we can go and play with. Okay, talk to you in a moment. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone through and I've filled in the form. And now what I can do is I can go and have a quick look at the responses. Now here the responses that we've got are actually inside Google Forms. This is the new Google Forms. And as you can see, I'm still accepting responses. Now when I've finished accepting responses, I can actually have a close date that says that the day before the conference or whatever, then I would actually turn that to say I'm not accepting responses, or I can turn it back on. But as you can see here, I've got the people who's attending. Moist Von Lipblick, Pete, Captain Carrot, Sam Vines, Nobby Nobs, Granny Weatherwax. You may note a certain amount of Terry Pratchett has crept in here. And underneath here I've got the organisations to which they belong. I can quickly see here which are the popular workshops. So I've got 7 people signed up for the social media event, 2 on marketing and 2 on volunteer impact measurement. In the afternoon I've got 4 on the impact measurement, I've got 2 for social media, and I've got 5 on the marketing course. So again, I can see very quickly the split of who wants to attend what. Here I can see any data requirements that I've got. So I've got 1 vegetarian, 1 gluten-free, 2 dairy-free, and 2 people who've specified other requirements. So that would require a little bit more investigation. So let's actually now have a come across here where I've got the option of creating this into a spreadsheet. So create a new spreadsheet and then click on create. So I've now created a spreadsheet. So if I go back to my Google Docs, then on my Google Docs I should hopefully be able to find a spreadsheet called responses. So if I open this spreadsheet, then here I've got all of the answers that's actually been identified. So here I can see dietary requirements, dairy-free, vegetarian, bacon, beer, gluten-free and dairy-free. So again, I can see this information laid out in a table. What I've also got the ability to do here is I've got the forms option, which allows me to edit the form, send the form, go to the live form, embed the form in a web page, show a summary of responses, or unlink the form from this particular sheet. Now the unlink option can be useful, so I could use the same form for multiple events and then link it to separate sheets. Over here I've got the data options, And under data, I've got the pivot table, which is the one that we want to look at. So I'm going to click onto pivot table, and then down the side here I can actually add information I want to see in the rows and the columns and anything else. So I'm going to add a field into my rows, which is my morning workshop. So there I've got the morning workshop that people have signed up to, and then in my columns I can add in the organisations. So I can see the organisations that's actually sending people on the different workshops. And then in the field, I can say add a field, and here I'm going to add in the name. And at the moment, it's summarised by sum. Well, a sum is no good. So I've got these other options. So sum, count all would allow us to count all values, whether they be numeric or alphanumeric. So here I can click on count all, and I can see which organisations are sending people onto which events. Or I've got other options inside of here as well. I've got count unique, average, maximum, minimum, the median, so the average there, the product, or the most popular value I should say, the product, which is multiplying items together, the standard deviation, I can't remember what the P stands for now, the variance, and again I've got the variance of the P, and I think the variance of the P is the entire population, variance of the population. Okay, well I'm happy with what I've got now, so I can see that information that's been displayed to me, to see that on my morning workshops I can see who's coming on my morning workshops or which organisations they're coming from. Let's go back to my form. I want to create another form for my afternoon workshop, and this time what I want to do is I'm going to go into data, down into my pivot table. And then my pivot table, this time what I'm going to do is I want to see the names of the people down the rows. Across the top there I want to see the afternoon workshop that they've signed up to. And then I want to just get the values that I'm going to add in here is going to be a count of the names again. So I can come in here and just do a count of the names. And now I can see that Captain Carrot has signed up to the social media workshop. I can see that Fred Colin has signed up marketing. So I've got a marketing register, social media register, and a volunteering impact register. So again, this is a very flexible system that allows us to play about. Okay, well I hope that helps. I look forward to talking to you later. Hey, have a good one. Cheers. Bye.